Morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. We have tax guru Mr. Vikas Garg, CPA. We had him last week. We spoke a little bit about FBAR regulations last week, Mr. Vikas. Welcome to the show again.
Thanks for inviting, Prep. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a gorgeous Saturday afternoon, so it's great.
It's a good weather.
Yeah. So we spoke a little bit about FBAR, right, last time,
That's
and
correct,
can you educate our viewers who probably missed the show last time on just a synopsis of FBAR deadlines, regulations, just a quick synopsis?
Okay. So simply, as we discussed last time, if anybody has a financial interest in overseas bank account where all the aggregate amount is more than $10,000, they need to file the FBAR. And the FBAR is due 15th April of every year now.
Right.
Earlier it used to be 30th June, but from this year 2017 onward, it's the 15th April of every year, or they can go ahead and file the extension by 15th October.
Okay.
So last week also we talked about if you did not file the FBAR, what's going to happen.
Right.
So we talk about the penalties. If you did not file the FBAR, IRS can come and they can charge the penalties. That's $10,000 for all the years, $10,000 each year, $10,000 per account per year. So that's it. And second thing was we are talking about willful and non-willful. What it means is if you have the willful violation, what agency can do, they can come and charge you 50% of the amount for each year of willful violation. Okay. If you have non-willful violation, they can come $10,000 per year, what we just talked about.
What do you classify as willful versus non-willful? What is IRS? Who is a willful violator and who is a non-willful violator?
Okay. It's basically gray area. It's depending on case to case. It's very hard to explain how you can define the willful and non-willful. Okay, so we can look at the case and can define whether it's willful. I can give you some example where we can say it's a non-willful. One example is most of the viewers, they are coming as a migrated to United States.
Right.
Okay, when they come to US as a new immigrant, they are trying to learn the laws in this country. Okay, when you are not aware about the laws, like say all the H-1B visas, candidate and all those things, their families are coming. Many times people sponsor their parents' green card.
Right.
They just migrated from there to here.
Right.
So those are the cases they can say, I was just about to learn the laws in this country. When you are saying I'm learning, I was completely new to the country and everything, you can justify their case and you can try to prove it's a non-willful violation. Okay, so if you can prove this is a non-willful violation, there will be less penalties. And by default, agency treat it's a willful violation. What it means is, you have to basically simple thing. You need to go and prove it's a non-willful. By default, it's a willful. Yeah.
Okay. So like you said, most of our viewers are, from all over the world and migrating to the US, and a lot of times, even though in the last episode you mentioned it's an old regulation, but it's stricter now and IRS regulated it.
Right.
What are the options our viewers and me I have to basically, if I miss out on filing an FBAR in a particular year, what are my options?
Okay, so if you miss the FBAR, there are various schemes announced by IRS. You can go ahead and use one of the schemes and use them. One thing is the offshore voluntary disclosure program. Second is the modified streamline program. Third thing is the late filing with a reasonable cause. Okay, you have to select any one of them. Sometimes in the short form we say OVDI, OVDP, and quiet disclosure. So depending on how you proceed, but I recommend to go and use any of these one and file the FBAR, belated FBAR, and be in compliance.
Okay. You spoke to me about like 3 programs right now, right?
That's
Offshore,
correct.
Modified, as well as late filing. What are the pros and cons, and who classifies for which program? How does a general viewer know that which program I will fall under? Can you walk us through a little bit more details on this?
Okay, let me just go one by one. So first thing is, which is not the safest thing, most I will say the less cost, less penalties and everything, you use the late filing with reasonable cause. What late filing with reasonable cause is, you miss the deadline, you go ahead and prepare your FBAR. You need to give your self-explanatory statement, prove us the IRS or agencies the violation was non-willful. You are completely unaware about it. So when you are completely unaware about it, then agency will go ahead, look at your case, look at your statement, then whatever the facts you produce, if you're able to prove like it's a non-willful and it's just a miss or something, then yes, you can use that option and file the belated FBAR.
Okay.
Many times we also say it's a quiet disclosure, which is not preferred by any of the CPAs, no law firms, nobody support that. We always say use the either modified streamlined process or third option OVDI. Second process is modified streamlined process. What it means is we usually recommend this process when it's a non-willful violation, because under this process you are going to go ahead and prove to agencies it's a non-willful. It's just a misnomer.
Okay.
It's on your side, you need to prove it. How it works, you need to prepare your last years of amended tax return. Whatever the foreign interest income, foreign dividend, any income you have, you need to include in your tax returns, file them in. If you paid in overseas bank account, you are going to claim the foreign tax credit.
Okay.
And then you go ahead and prepare your last 3 years of belated FBAR.
Got it.
Once you prepare your last and you submit it to the agencies. Okay. Under this scenario, how the IRS charge the penalty? They take the 5% penalty of the maximum amount of all these 3 years.
Got it.
What it means is, let's say if you have a 2014, you have 15,000. 2015, you have 18,000. 2016, you have 17,000. Because your exchange rate fluctuates.
Right.
So depending on your exchange rate fluctuation, everything, you see each and every year maximum amount.
Right.
So whenever you see the maximum, take the 5% of that, you pay one-time penalty and you are 100% safe. But only risk is your statement has to be non-willful. So if you're able to prove it, you are good. But in case if agency accept, oh no, it was not a non-willful, it was a willful violation, they may reject your application and then you will fall under the normal penalty category. That's why we talk about $10,000 per account per year up to 6 years they can come. So that will be a disaster. And the third option we talk about offshore voluntary disclosure. Okay, what that option is, this is usually when you are not able to prove non-willful.
Right.
Okay, so if you think I'm not able to prove non-willful violation, I'm not aware, you don't have any facts, you're not able to produce any documents to them,
Right.
then you're gonna go ahead and file under the streamlined process. What streamlined process do it? You're going to prepare last 6 to 8 years of your tax return. You're going to prepare last 6 to 8 years of FBAR. You compile all the packets, submit to agencies, and once they accept it, you are perfectly fine. Your penalty may be 12%, penalty may be 27.5%, but usually we saw 27.5%. But this is a 100% safe route if you pass through that route. So there is no if and buts.
Okay.
Unless if IRS agency ask or an agency find out it's a willful violation and you're trying to fraud the agencies.
Right,
Fraud
right.
agency means how it proves it, they look your transactions
Right.
and everything. Once they look your transaction and they find out you are trying to avoid it.
Right.
So when you're trying to avoid it, they say no, this is not the fact. We are not accepting.
Knowingly avoided.
Knowingly avoid. So it's a willful, but one thing knowingly avoiding. Second thing is basically you're misguiding the agencies.
Right.
If you are trying to misguide the agency, that it will fall under separate category. They may reject it.
Do they classify? So we spoke about willful, non-willful. Spoke about the 3 options. Obviously, you're the expert. From a layman's term perspective, right? A willful violation, would it fall under a criminal charge penalty, a civil charge penalty? What happens in the record of that individual?
Okay. So one thing is when agencies decide it's a willful violation. When they confirm it's a willful violation, then they come and decide it how you missed it. Are you trying to misguide the agencies? You're trying to hide the facts? If they find it, you're trying to hide the facts from the agency. It can fall under the criminal. And when it falls under criminal, then IRS agency is able to prove it. You are doing willful violation. You are trying to misguide the agencies, trying to hide your income and everything. Then there's a criminal.
Okay, so in a criminal violation, then they, other than the penalties and charges, can they go on a lien on a property as well?
They will go with your prosecutions and everything. They can go everything, yes.
Okay, okay. What are the prerequisites for these program, or can anybody who violated an FBAR and did not file in the deadline, can they avail this program?
Okay. everybody can avail it if they did not file it. As long as there's a couple of conditions are there. First condition is you should not be under audit. Okay. If what the under audit means, you get the letter from IRS and agencies that your tax return is under examination.
Right.
The moment you get the letter, you thought, okay, I'll be get caught or something. You go and file. You're trying to opt one of the schemes.
Right.
Answer is you cannot go with that schemes.
Right.
Even if you submit all the documents under the scheme, it will be treated additional information collected under audit.
Okay. Okay.
So you will not be qualified for those. So first thing is you should not be under audit at all.
At all. Okay.
Okay. So that's the first condition. And even if you sometimes you get any letter, let's say if you're missing any interest income,
Right.
any dividend income,
Right.
IRS agency issue a letter or you're underreported income.
Right.
So that also sometimes fall under examination.
Okay.
What it means is your file is open. Your case is assigned to some representative. In this scenario, you cannot go ahead and file this one. Yeah.
Okay. What is the normal time process, because for filing this, whether I do the OVDI or the OVDP, is the time process for these two channels different, or it's the same time process?
It's depending on which case you're going. So we talk about first option late filing with the reasonable cause. Okay. You can go ahead and submit it. The agency will have up to 6 years. They can come back up to 6 years. It's not something you submitted, they accept it and say, oh, I'm done. Answer is no. They will have right to come up to 6 years to you. If they come and open the file, they can assess all the penalties.
Right.
Okay. Second option, we talk about modified streamlined process. What it means is it can go over basically 1 to 2 years. You prepare your amendment, you send it to agencies.
Right.
You prepare FBAR, you declare a statement and everything.
Right.
If they need any additional information, they will send you the letters.
Got it.
Okay. If everything is okay, you get the closing letter. It usually we usually see in between 1 year to 18 months. That's the time frame we saw all the cases are closed.
Okay.
Third option, what we talk about offshore voluntary. So when we talk about offshore voluntary, what happen is it takes only up to 2 years. So there are 3 steps there. First step is you need to go and get your pre-clearance. What pre-clearance means is you go and fax your request to the agency that I want to go and opt for this program. If you fax it, if they cleared you, what the clearance means, they say there is no open case in your case, you can come and opt for the schemes. So that's the first step. Second step will be you need to complete your disclosure package. Okay. When you send your disclosure packet and disclosure letter to agencies, that's the time you are looking around 2 years. And then you will you can set up your payment plan or anything with the agency and you can close it.
Okay. Okay. What do you recommend for somebody who's already going through this process and they got a letter from IRS, but they don't know much to do, right? And it could be, like we spoke before, somebody who's a US citizen, but he or she is outside the country at this point and did not file the FBAR.
No.
What do you recommend that they got a letter in the United States and they were unaware and their deadline has passed?
Right.
What do you recommend in this particular
The
scenario?
first thing is I always recommend to go ahead and submit all the belated FBARs. And it's going to depend on case to case. It's very hard to say what thing we're going to recommend it. So it's one of the options we are going to recommend.
Okay.
Either file the belated FBAR, we look at what are the penalties, how much a penalty it's going to come on your case to case basis, what is the reason of violation, why you are not aware about, what are the facts you can prove it to the agency, these are the reasons I was not able to prove it.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that. That gave me a lot of information, and I'm sure all our viewers got much more detail into the violations, the regulations, the willful versus the non-willful regulations, and what they should do. So, simply put, take care of your FBAR filing, right?
Right, that's correct. So, what I'll say, don't sit, if you did not file, don't think over, I'm not required to file. Go ahead, file it, use one of the options and be compliant. And it's more complex, it's not something anybody can do it.
Right.
Make sure you are filing in good hands.
Thank you, Mr. Vikas. It was awesome, a pleasure as always, and hope you and your family have a great Saturday afternoon.
Yep, yes.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you for inviting us.